Hello there. Hi. Welcome to Up Top. I'll get back. That's Alex Osborne, and that is Stephen Buck. How are you, gents?
Are we going live this time? Are we live? Are we live now?
He's gone.
Has he actually gone? Yes. Oh no! I thought he was doing another bit. Right. Well, for those at home listening on the audio version, we seem to have lost Gav very briefly. I'm sure he'll be back very soon. But Bucky, I know Gav usually does this bit, but I suppose me and you can try and muddle through this. But I believe this is the debate show number 7.
It is debate show number 7.
So we've got some talking points coming up as well, haven't we?
We've got some cracking talking points. So we'll cover off in the show. First of all, we'll talk around a little bit of a reform structure of the leagues. That seems to be a hot topic at the minute. We'll also cover off some chat around Harry Redknapp and his amazing claim that Spurs could win the league this year.
Oh, here we go. You always had to get that second in, didn't you?
Right. It's out there. It's absolutely out there. But let's get back to that later. We also need to have a little chat around Manchester United. You know, are they even a big club anymore? I don't know, but we'll talk about that later. So,
well, that's sure to get some very tasty bites from people.
I'm definitely fishing for some comments and some participation from our viewers at that point. So, but before we get into the rest of the show, it's probably best. Well, let's welcome him back. Good to have you back.
I literally just moved my laptop, and as I moved it, I pressed the off button because that's what you do. It's like, you know, that's how you do things.
Me and Bucky thought you were doing another little bit and trying to stay as still as possible, and then we realised that actually you weren't, and you'd just gone.
There you go.
But, we might as well let you do the admin bits like you normally do because you.
The old housekeeping.
The housekeeping. There we go.
Housekeeping, I like to call it. Yeah, so you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/TopFootball. You can follow us on all social media at TopFootball. And did you know if you put Top into Google, our name comes up first? Ensure you download Soccer Manager 2021. It's going below Alex and below on the bar, along the bottom there. It's available on the App Store and on Google Play. Hello, Alex, Stephen, and Gav. Matt, good evening. And that is our number 1 fan from live. He's watching us live in Uganda right now, and I've got a lot of time for that. So Manase,
Uganda.
Yeah, Manase, thank you very much for watching the show.
I'm even more impressed that his Wi-Fi is obviously a better connection than yours, Gav.
I've got good Wi-Fi now. I've got business Wi-Fi. It's my fat fingers pressing off buttons. Anyway, let's get over that all sort of stuff, and let's talk about some bits and bobs. It's the debate show, so we have a number of questions, and we want to talk about them. So, a lot of which is going on right now is how much money we've got to pay for games. So, is £15 per game too steep, Alex Osborne?
If you're looking at it from if you were a match-going fan, and you were one that went regularly, then £15 per game is not too steep because you don't have to factor in travel costs anymore. So they're gone. Beers at the ground, food at the ground, programs, whatever have you, all of that extra added bonus is gone. However, as fans for the past, 6 months, we've got used to having every single game being screened live on BT, Sky, Amazon Prime, and then obviously the odd occasion on BBC as well. So you're kind of wondering, well, I'm already paying, if you are paying a subscription to Sky and BT, why are they now charging me an extra £15 just to watch my football club? So, yeah, I can understand where that's coming from. But if you're a match-going fan, I would say they were probably looking at this and thinking, okay, well, I can understand it. And clubs are going to want to do this as well because they're like, well, we're losing out on our match day revenue. And they're probably thinking as well, we are no longer restricted by the size of our stadium. So, in theory, 5 million people could tune in, pay £15 each, and that all of that money goes to that club. Whereas before, it would have been, say, take for Spurs and Arsenal, for example, 60,000 seaters, aren't they, or thereabouts? They're limited by that that capacity, aren't they? So they can only make a certain amount unless they charge ridiculous prices. But it depends where you sit. Is basically my point of the of what I just said.
Yeah, Buck, what do you think?
I think 15 quid is a lot for one game. A lot. Like if you think about your Sky subscription and the breadth that you can cover off, the multitude of matches that you can watch in a month, in a week, 15 quid per game, that's a lot of money. If you're only interested in watching those games for your club, maybe, and you're used to going to the stadium all the time, your ticket price, your food, your travel costs, your match day program, the extra ball that you bought for your kids, then maybe 15 quid doesn't sound quite so bad at that point, because you're going to probably spend 100 quid a game easy.
Exactly, yeah, and that's the point I was making about match going fans, who the ones who go all the time, your season ticket holders. Though I feel like your season ticket holders, they're probably the ones who are probably getting shafted the most out of this, unless I was having this conversation with a couple of friends yesterday, and they were talking about, I think there's been a couple of Premier clubs, I think it was Burnley, have come out and said that if a season ticket holder of theirs can actually prove that they've bought the game being charged £15 extra, then they will reimburse those fans. But it's up to those fans to actually provide evidence of them doing so, which I suppose, how would you go about doing that?
Which in many ways is no different to how they would do bums on seats on season tickets anyway, because you buy the season ticket and then you say, well, I can't go to this particular game, and you essentially sell your ticket back to the club, who then put it back into general sale. So it's not much different to that. My beef with it is, I think the clubs are missing a massive trick. You know, as you quite rightly pointed out, you've got access now to a much wider fan base to attend your game virtually than what you have to when you're limited by the size of your stadium.
I think
change it?
And I think that with this we're getting ever closer to that Premier League stream service like Netflix, like Amazon Prime. I think we are. This is all steps being taken to going into that way of watching your football team.
Yeah.
You know, I think this is certainly another step along that way.
It just doesn't work for me.
Why is that? Why do you think it doesn't work?
Because there's so many other streaming services out there and ways of watching the game which are far more cost effective. I'm thinking people that are going to have Sky Go because they've already got Sky Sports. And you can put that on a multitude of devices. So, you know, in theory, you know, someone's could have Sky Sports, and all of a sudden your partner, your daughter's son's cousin, whatever, they can get onto your Sky Go login on their own device and be able to watch that game.
You know, Sky Go does limit the amount of people, the amount of devices that can be registered on their account.
But even then, even if you said it was 2 devices, 3 devices, it's not costing you 15 quid a game when you've already got Sky Sports as a package deal, and you can watch everything all in one place across the entirety of the month for probably 40 quid for your Sky package. 15 quid is an overspend for one game.
Now I've got a couple of questions. I've got a couple of questions here. So I know you can't see me right now, but that's irrelevant. You know, everyone knows.
Are you starting Halloween early?
He's doing the Black Lives Matter. He's just reminding everybody of that. Keep up the good work there, Gav. I appreciate it.
Not cool. So Jamie Watson said, Jamie's been on the show a couple of times. He actually got involved with our watch along yesterday as well. He's up in Liverpool. He said it should have been just the clubs offering this to put on their own platform. The price is so high because TV companies take their cut. But on the opposite side of it, Stu Mitchell, one of my best friends, he's watching this live from New York. We're a worldwide show. He says, when you signed up for BT Sport, BT Sky, Amazon Prime, etc., you knew what you were getting yourself into. They haven't reduced your service. The fan is wanting more than nothing. And these games cost money for Sky, BT, etc. They're not running a charity. So it's sort of like two sides of it at the same sort of time. How would you break that down?
Alex, you go first on this one.
I kind of side with Stu Mitchell there in terms of Sky have paid they've paid a broadcasting deal, haven't they, with the Premier League, and they do it over 3 seasons, and they then renew it every 3 seasons, or they go to the highest bidder. So Sky have obviously invested all of this money and etc. And to them, they need to take their cut. It's a difficult one. I personally think this has all been done because the Premier League clubs have been like, well, we're losing out on our match day revenue and we need to recoup some of that because of what's happened with COVID. I think that is the main driving factor behind it. And that's fair enough. Clubs, they need money to survive on, because otherwise they're not going to be there to follow and support. But then at the same time, maybe this will bring about some changes into the amount of money that does flow into the game, and with some of the obscene amounts of money that has been thrown about. But again, that's all down to supply and demand, and obviously there's a huge supply and demand at the top level of football. But obviously that we're going to talk about the reform of English football, aren't we, very soon? So I don't know, Bucky, what do you think?
For me, I just come back to the same thing. It's just too much for one game. If it was £5 to go and stream your game, as we've said, be that via a platform of, I don't know, Manu TV or whatever single platform that they're going to go and put out, or if it's literally a pay per game system based off of one of the other TV subscribed systems, I don't see an issue with that. I think that's a fair price. You're going to pay $5.99 to rent a DVD online of a film. You're probably going to pay, I don't know, £6 if it's in HD. Maybe you pay £10 if you were going to the cinema somewhere. So £5, £6, maybe even £7 kind of feels reasonable. At the point you're paying £15 and to just watch your 3 or 4 Premier League games of your particular side play that month, you've already spent what a Sky subscription is.
Do you not feel that Do you not feel that we have been spoiled because of lockdown, etc.? We have had 10 Premier League games a week. Every week. Do you not think then, when you put that into perspective, if you said to anyone, can you watch in the UK, I must stipulate, in the UK, you'll be allowed to watch a 3 o'clock game. Does that not change things? Because we've never been able to do it since 1965. The only 3 o'clock game on a Saturday we've ever been able to watch is the FA Cup final.
Yeah. It's strange, isn't it? Because all the other countries around the world, they can watch all the Premier League games and they pay a certain amount. Like obviously, I think over in America they have, was it NBC Sports package or something? And there's a dedicated English Premier League channel, isn't there? And you can watch all of the Premier League games on there. So it's not an issue for them. It's just an issue, obviously, for people in this country, which seems like we're almost getting punished a bit severely for living in the UK and trying to follow your own football team. What I do want to find out.
We have been spoiled.
It's exceptional
100% we've been spoiled.
I think it's just exceptional circumstances, isn't it?
Well, or is it the game evolving into a new direction? The whole structure that we used to have, that all games were fixed at a certain time, and then that changed because of TV rights, and then it was a very clear, well, it's you got an early kickoff, then you got your later kickoffs, and the bits in between none of you can go and see because of TV revenues again. I think that's evolving and that's going to change. You're not going to see that restriction moving forward. We probably will see a new world and a continuation of what we're currently being seen because of the COVID issues with the clubs and different games kicking off different days of the week rather than just being Saturdays and Sundays and occasionally Mondays. But I still come back to the same thing. £15 a game for just following your team is a lot of money.
So you won't do it then, Bucky. If Spurs not one of the 5 games that are being shown on Sky, BT, whatever, and that you need to pay £15, you're not going to do it.
No, because there are other ways for us to go and see our clubs, which we can't necessarily say on live. But I just wouldn't do it. If it was £5 a game, 100%, I'm in. And I think that's a fair price and structure when you think, as I say, £5, £6 to go and rent a film on your TV somewhere. £15 is too much for one game. It's rip off Britain.
what I want to know is if you don't have Sky, BT, or Amazon Prime or something, if you can still do this, if you can still purchase it, or you have to have Sky and BT, and then this is an extra on top of that.
I don't know, but
because for example, for me, I have a Now TV subscription. Okay, so and that is just dedicated to the sports package. So if Arsenal are not playing live, for example, and obviously I want to watch the Arsenal game, is that available for me? Am I able to, if I want to pay the £15, am I able to do so? You know, is this something that I'm going to be able to do? Because you're right, Steve. You're right, Bucky. You might have to actually go into searching for other avenues, being able to watch the games. You know, and I definitely think that's going to be the case.
If this was more of a kind of a club targeted subscription for football, so come away from your Sky, come away from your BT Sport, and actually I can sign up to Spurs TV, who are going to show me a live stream on my mobile device or on my laptop or on my smart TV, any Spurs game that's live, and it's going to cost me 15 quid a month, I'm on it.
Yeah,
happy at that point. I think that's fair,
because then you then don't have your Sky package, and then you're just paying Spurs directly. Same with Arsenal. I think that's where the game should be going. Personally, I think that's where it should be going.
The complete other direction, which I think I'm sure Satanta Sports kind of worked a little bit of it, where it was the whole system was a pay-per-view football match.
Well,
but the price structure was a lot cheaper.
Well, here we go. You know, Stu Mitchell, he says NFL Sunday ticket is $100 a month and it gives you access to every game, every team. So I think $100 a month, you know, well, I don't know. Is it too steep? Is it not? That's 25 quid a week, $25 a week. You know, it's not so bad when you put it like that.
So I've got NFL Game Pass, okay, and you've got two options, okay, how you pay. You've got your one option, which is your basic package, which will show NFL Red Zone, okay, and it will show the games, okay, but you don't, when it gets to playoffs, you can't watch the playoffs and you can't watch the Super Bowl on it. I've got the advanced package, which is slightly more expensive, and they give you two options how to pay. You can either pay it in one go, which is I think is 150 quid, or you can pay 4 payments of 150 split up into 4 payments, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But then you get the whole, you get Red Zone, you get every single team games live, and then on replay as well, and you've got various different ways you can watch that particular game. If you want to watch just the highlights, or if you watch the game spliced up into plays back to back, so you don't have any adverts, or you can watch the broadcast as it originally aired. And then you can also watch the playoffs and the Super Bowl as well. But then you've also got documentaries and other stuff that comes with the NFL as well. So that is, I suppose, a slightly cheaper option than what Stu Mitchell's got there, was referring to. Me and Bucky were just both saying that we think that maybe the better way would be to, if a club actually was streaming it live on your website and they had a paywall encryption service, and you paid up to that, and then you watch the games there.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it completely. I just think, I don't know. I think 15. Put it this way: 5 games a week are not being played on TV. Right. So if you do want to watch all those games, especially people like us, that we do a Premier League review show, we get access to watch games, etc. But people like us that are doing it, and just general football fans that they do want to watch one of the big games that are on that weekend. What if it is a Merseyside derby that's being played on pay-per-view? And the other big clubs, so to speak, if you want to watch the big clubs, you know, they're playing as well. We have got to pay 75 quid a month. A week, sorry, 75 quid a week on top of our Sky Sports and our BT Sport. I think it's a bit naughty, but yeah, Stu, there he goes. Yeah, NBC NBC Sports Network, less than $10 a month, and they could watch every game. So is this going to do exactly what Joby says? Are people going to be, I'm not saying that's you, Joby, I'm not trying to get you in trouble, pal, but is this going to drive people to stream illegally more?
100% it will.
Absolutely,
So what should the Premier League do?
Well, the only way the only way
the pricing.
is just reduce the price. Yeah.
How much would you be willing to pay?
For me, it's the price of a film, and it needs to line up with that. So if I'm paying $5.49, $5.99 to rent a film on my Skybox because I choose to watch it in that particular moment, that's what it should be to rent a football game. It should be alignment to that, not
I'd pay a fiver.
3 times the price.
Yeah, I'd pay a fiver. But the thing is, everything at the moment, I mean, this is a football show, but I just want to mention about the boxing. Is it the Anthony Joshua fight that's coming up? It's 35 quid on pay-per-view. That was never 35 quid before. That was 20 quid, and people were moaning about paying 20 quid. And then when it went to 25. Now, if you want it in HD, I think it's a little bit more expensive again. So,
and they'll try to sell it as, oh, we've got this entertainment. There's a massive bill of fighters beforehand. But fundamentally, you haven't bought that package for the warm-up packs, for A, B, C, or D. You bought it for the main event.
Yeah. You have, and the reason why they try to justify that price is because they say, well, Anthony Joshua fights once, twice a year, so £35 per fight shouldn't be something that you guys should be moaning at. That's what I feel.
The only
like
reason we're paying that much for Anthony Joshua fights is because he has an entourage as big as the stadium's capacity.
I'm not necessarily against that, to be honest. Now, I recently wrote a piece on a football reform. I wrote it about 6 weeks ago, and it really wound me up because the Telegraph put something out there on Sunday, so it made it look like the piece that I wrote.
It was plagiarism.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm taking the Telegraph to court about it.
Yeah.
I'm not, but I will try.
I'd just like to point out this was a discussion that Gav was having. I've been part of a discussion with Gav with that as well months back. So this isn't a new thing that's come off the Telegraph that we're just kind of hammering and attaching onto. This generally is something that's in his head.
Yeah, not just that as well. I even sent the first draft to Alex's good friend and a friend of the show, Martin Wesley. So a long time ago, it's got nothing to do. But basically, right, a football reform. My idea was to change the dynamics of football, and by doing that, we keep 20 teams in the Premier League. 3 teams will still get relegated. However, the team in 16th place would then play in a playoff match or be part of the playoff organisation with the Championship, or as I would like to now call it, Premier League 2. So Premier League 2 will have 24 teams in, just as the Championship is right now, because there needs to be a gap that's bridged more between the Premier League and the Championship. Because if we don't bridge a gap, football will die forever. So in the Championship right now, it's the top 2 that go up, and the teams in 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, they will then be part of the playoff scenario. My idea is to have 3 teams go up, so the 1st, 2nd and 3rd in the Championship, and then teams in 4th, 5th and 6th be joined by the team in 16th in the Premier League over a 2-leg scenario.
So you mean 17th? Do you mean 17th?
No, I mean 16th. 17th, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, 17th.
Yeah.
So the team is 17th. Sorry, it's because of the Rick Parry thing. So the team is the team in 17th will then join the teams in 4th, 5th, and 6th in the Championship in a playoff. Yeah. And the winner of that either get promoted to the Premier League or will stay in the Premier League, depending what club it is.
And this isn't a new thing that's not been done elsewhere, is it?
No. It goes deeper than that. So you have the Premier League, and then you have Premier League 2. The next division down is Football League 1. So that will be an amalgamation of current League 1 and League 2, split into 2 divisions of 24 at exactly the same level, geographically evened out. So that the teams that currently play in League 1 and League 2 right now will then be in the same division, but split into North and South. Where it goes a little...
Which will help Crew not driving over to Exeter on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, very true. However, there are caveats to it, but I'll go into that in a moment. The bit which splits opinion is Football League 2, which will be the current National League, or the conference as people know it as, mixed in with the Premier League development teams, so the under 23s. That's where it tends to split a little bit of opinion. So, in terms of geographic, it's done as fairly and as evenly as possible. And by doing that, you're pretty much drawing a line across a certain part of the country, and then the 24 teams up there in the north and 24 teams down there in the south. The Midland teams, yeah, they're going to be part of it, but, it'll be dealt with accordingly. Where it can get awkward is if, 3 northern teams get relegated from the Premier League 2 and 3 southern 4, because it would be 4 that would get relegated from that division, and then 4 southerly teams, so to speak, would then get promoted, and it could cause a little bit of a chasm there. But by doing that, you just have a look at it at the end of each season, who will sort it out in which particular geographical area, as they currently do right now further down south in the pyramid, and then rejig the league if necessary, and go forwards that way. I mean, I'll try to explain it without reading the whole document out to everybody. So if anyone wants any clarification on that, drop it in the comments. If anyone's confused, I don't mind. But gentlemen, you've both read the piece that I've put together. What do you think? I'll go with you, Buck, first, because I remember Alex first last time.
To be honest, I kind of think it makes a lot of sense. Yes, there are going to be some challenges, but we've got challenges already. And the gap that we've got, and that's going to continue to grow between the lower leagues and the Premier League, purely because of the TV rights more than anything else, and the financial impact of what COVID is going to have on those teams, I think it's something that we have to go and put forward. I think this could generally help. It reduces a lot of the travelling costs for the teams. It aligns, as I understand it, aligns with the referees structure as well, because I think they're actually divided up into north and south in the way that they're developed and coached. So actually, it would probably help them in terms of where they're going to get placed and travel expenses, and which referee do you place into which game, etc. And if you're going to move towards a model that we're kind of seeing now with COVID anyway, whereby that kind of Saturday, Sunday is game time, and we don't really do that much during the week because it's European fixtures, unless you're lower down the league, does this not help that as well?
Yeah, Joby, no. So basically, the team in 17th will be part of the semi-finals. So they'll be part of it, and it'll be over 2 legs as well. If they go out in the semi-final stage, the team in 17th of the Premier League, then they're in the mix. They're in the mix. Oh, in the first playoff, my bad. So yeah, the team in 6th will play in the first playoff.
Yeah.
Pretty much how it is right now. It's the first seed versus the 4th seed in one game, and then it's 2nd versus 3rd seed in the other game. That's how it works right now.
The only thing I would question is what would happen if Prem 2 has got the under 23 squads in there.
No. Prem 2 hasn't.
Prem 2 hasn't. Okay, so you're not risking a clash of
Football League 2. Football League 2.
League 2.
Okay. So that they would have the Prem teams in.
Okay,
and there
so
has
you're
to
not
be a
risking
minimum
a
of 2
clash.
divisions. No.
And what happens if Chelsea's under 23s would essentially be gaining theoretical promotion to?
They can't.
Prem 2. So they're fixed and they cannot move up.
They're fixed. They could go down, but they can't go up. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same in Spain and in Germany right now.
Same as rugby as well, I believe. That's the same thing, isn't it?
You lost me on rugby.
I think
in terms of pyramids, you've lost me. I'm not quite sure. So I don't want to answer that. If anyone knows, by all means, let us know. The issue with my camera, by the way, is the application. The app needs updating. So my webcam app needs updating. But who cares? Because on audio you can still hear me. So Alex, what do you think?
So I am a bit of a traditionalist when it comes to the English football pyramid, and I was always the opinion that I don't really think there's a need to change. So when I was reading before I read your article, and I know you've been told, I was ready to quote unquote hate on it straight away, but I actually love it. I really do.
Man,
I
this
think
what winds me up, man. Because if I had the camera right now, you'd be able to see my little heart hands.
You're doing a Joey dance, aren't you? He's in the back sitting there going, "Yeah, I got them all."
I'm just a little heart hands. Yeah, go on,
I definitely think the divide, especially for the Football League idea of the League One and League Two teams being amalgamated into North and South, just like it is for the National League North and South right now. And then obviously you do it again at the National League. And I love the fact that you've got the development squads, the under-23s put into that division as well. I can understand why people would be kicking back, because that when you've got the under-23s being put into that division, that means that they'll be replacing teams who have already been there, and potentially those ones that have worked their way up to get to that stage then could be pushed back down again. But at the end of the day, under-23s football, especially for Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United, City, Liverpool, Spurs, whoever, that quality, they'll be used to a certain level of coaching, and those teams that will be coming up to get to that stage, playing against that kind of quality opposition, would only ultimately do those clubs who have been in under those lower league pyramid the world of good. Okay, because they'll be able to
go out to those clubs on loan anyway, because actually they need the first team experience. They need to a bit more of the physicality of the Football League and get used to that and get used to playing in that on a regular basis. Because if you can play under 23 football and it's very technical, but it shields them for the reality of what it is to progress up the football system.
And the other thing as well that the lower league teams would like is that they would get to play potentially at a better facilities, should we say, whether it would be done at the training grounds or whether it's actually done at the stadiums. However, like whether I don't know where Man City's under 23s play, but if they play in the Man City complex, we know what the Man City complex is like. That's imagine you're playing semi-pro and your club has gone up the leagues and you've got to that stage now and you've just turned pro and you then walk into Man City's training complex and you're like,
imagine
we're playing. Yeah, so exactly.
Playing the under-23s like.
Well, Salford FC, as I understand it right now, they would be going into the North-South Football League 1, won't they? That's because they're a League 2 club, aren't they, I believe?
Yeah, they've only just come through. We've just seen a comment from Jamie Watson just come through. We can't get it up on the slides at the minute because Gav's had another issue.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have lost Gav again, unfortunately.
But yeah, Jamie Watson, absolutely, mate. How can you look at situations like... How can you look at situations like Bolton, Macclesfield, Charlton, Sheffield Wednesday, Bury, and many others and say change isn't an absolute necessity? And it is.
So, okay, well, whilst we talk about that, we might as well talk about the big project, or what's it called? The Project Big Picture, okay? That has recently come out over the weekend, which everyone seems to be attributing to both Liverpool and Man United for being the driving forces behind this, okay? So I have the bullet points here in front of me. So I'm going to read them out, and then we can discuss it from there. For those who haven't seen this or haven't had the time to get to it, our listeners and followers at home, this is what the Project Big Picture has been proposed. So the Premier League will be cut from 20 to 18 teams, with the Championship, League One and League Two all keeping their usual 24 clubs. There will be 9 long-term shareholders will be given the power and have special voting rights on all sorts of issues in the Premier League, including any rule changes, who becomes chief executive, and even if a new owner can take over at another club. A £350 million rescue fund will be made immediately available to the EFL, the English Football League, and Football Association for lost revenues for the 2019-2020 season and the 2020-2021 seasons. The League Cup and the Community Shield will be completely abolished, so there'll be no more. Parachute payments will also be scrapped to those being relegated from the Premier League into the Championship, and instead, 25% of the Premier League revenue will be distributed to the English Football League. promotion playoffs board team. In this meaning the involving the 16th place team in the Premier League and the 3rd, 4th, 5th in the Championship. So very much what Gav was saying there. Funding will be provided to set up new and independent women's league, and then season to start later and pre-season friendlies extended. Okay, so the main different points there from Gav's reform and what they're talking about this reform here is the Premier League being cut down by 2 teams to 18. Okay, the Football League pyramid still staying the same, but obviously the 250 million or 25% of the revenue being distributed to the English Football League. Well, the Community Shield and the League Cup being abolished, the season starting later, and the 9 long-term shareholders being in charge of any rule changes. So, Bucky, what are your thoughts on that proposal?
I mean, it's very similar to what Gav's put forward anyway. My main concerns with that real proposal is parachute payments. I think if you take those away from clubs that have been relegated, and we see a lot of clubs yo-yo anyway, Sunderland, West Ham, Bolton for a while were classic yo-yo clubs. If you spread that across the rest of the Football League, I think you're probably going to find there's a bigger gap financially between essentially the Championship and this new Premier Division. You could lose 25% of your TV rights, but there's still a massive financial gap. And I think that you'll just end up seeing far more yo-yoing of clubs moving up and down. The only thing that you might see is rather than it being the same clubs that yo-yo up and down, you'll get different clubs come in each year and get relegated. But the whole point of coming up, probably going down in the very next season, I think will just become more and more a regular thing. But it's very similar to what Gab has put forward. Very similar.
It is very similar. What I will say is the 2 points that I think will cause the main issues here, which is the 9 long-term shareholders, and then the season to start later with the pre-season friendlies, which basically says to me is that the bigger clubs want to take control, okay, and they see the pre-season friendlies as massive money makers. That's why they want the season to start later.
That's the whole point of it, isn't it?
And therefore, for them to gain extra money from being in China or being in America or being in Australia or wherever they may be.
That's the whole point. When it comes to pre-season friendlies, remember back in the day when we were kids, obviously for Buck it was a very long time ago, but for everyone for everyone else in the chat, you will look forward to seeing big clubs turn up and play against Bishop Stortford or Stevenage will play against Spurs, and Spurs will take their full team out. Whereas now, Man United are playing against Liverpool.
Yeah, it's the under 23s.
Man United are playing against Liverpool in a 110,000 seater stadium in America. Just before, we spoke about it on last week's show when Tom Overend joined us, who's a massive Chelsea fan. Ruben Loftus-Cheek got injured in a friendly match that was played 3 days after the Premier League season finished and 4 days before a Europa League final. Why are these games? It's all about money, on that side of thing. I mean, like Rick Parry, I understand what he's trying to say. I don't agree with the 18-team Premier League. And I also believe and also think that the Bundesliga should be 20 teams as well. Because I don't like the idea of a major top flight league only having 18 teams. Italy did it. They had 18 teams for donkeys and they moved it to 20. In fact, in Italy, they still had 2 points for a win until 93-94.
Yeah, that was following. I forget which side it was, but they won the league with the lowest amount of goals or something.
Yeah, AC Milan scored 35 goals, only conceded 16 or something like that. But the League Cup, we spoke about it on a previous debate show. You could go back and watch that. The League Cup, I think, should be scrapped. I think it is pointless. Getting rid of the Charity Shield or Community Shield, whatever you want to call it, I think that should be the only friendly money maker. Personally, Italy tried to do it and they did it in the wrong way by playing the Supercoppa Italia in Dubai and the Japan. I don't agree with that. We're still fans.
I
And we're
don't,
still
I don't have an
paying,
issue with
so-
going down to 18 teams, but I don't see the point in friendlies. They
I
are
do.
they're a money spinner.
No,
but
friendlies
that's
need to
it.
be there. Friendlies need to be there to keep the fitness levels up and get them. Look how badly Man United have started. We're going to talk about Man United in a couple of minutes anyway. But look how badly Man United have started. And I feel that if Man United had a pre-season, they would be performing a lot better than they currently are right now.
The issue that I have with the friendlies is exactly what you've already mentioned, though, where they're not really competitive friendlies anymore. They're just there to spin money. So the amount of clubs that take the sides abroad up until this year, do they get anything out of a preseason friendly? The managers don't like them. Yeah, they want everything to be at home. And if they generally were forced to play at home, are they really going to play a full strength side? I don't think so.
See, I just want to make sure that there is a level of protection for the football league clubs and all the way down. I want to make sure that there is some form of finance going down, because end of the day, if we lose our grassroots football, not just in this country, in the world, any world level of grassroots football, if we lose that, we're doomed, mate. We're absolute doomed, boys.
Finance is one thing, but to provide them with some more money that's perhaps coming out of the Premier League, I think is a bonus. But we have to look at how these clubs are run. What happened at Bury should never, ever, 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 ever happen. And that's not just because they didn't have a lot of money coming through the door. That's bad ownership. It's bad leadership.
I think that's a different story for a different time, though, isn't it? Because that's when we talk about the fit and proper tests and things like that.
But it comes part of it. If you just pump more money down the football league, all you're going to have is those leadership issues will still happen. They'll still be exposed.
What I mean, I don't necessarily mean like that money needs to be fed down as such. I think I worded that badly. I think what it is, it's more of a case that there's just a big divide happening right now between the Premier League and even the Championship. There's such a gap.
Yeah.
Excuse me. In terms of the clubs and how the football teams play, then you can look at the coaching element of certain things or whatever. But parachute payments, they help. We look at, for an example, this is something that I was reading earlier on today as well, because at the moment it's the big six teams that are the predominantly big six teams that are trying to drive this forwards. One of those teams is Manchester City. Now, this conversation was originally had in the late 90s. Where were Manchester City in the late 90s? In 99, 2000, they were in what is now known as League One. They wouldn't have a say on this. They wouldn't be anywhere in this conversation. So what makes them now believe that they think that they have the right to turn around and say, we are a big club right now, we could do whatever we like and say what we like? They can't. They shouldn't be allowed to do that.
I think UEFA and FIFA will probably disagree with you when they overspend financial fair play and just get a little ticking off. But
20 years ago, this same team that are trying to say we're doing this, we're doing that, were in League One, and they were only a Paul Dickoff penalty away from staying in there. And Gillingham would be in what is now known as the Championship right now. And
Gillingham, what we're saying is Man City have forgotten their roots.
Yes, they have. And at the time, there was another team that were doing that had a big say at the time in the top leagues. I can't remember who it was, but I know Bolton had a chat about this about 12, 13 years ago. They were a Premier League side at the time. They are now a League Two team. Mm-hmm. So if it can happen to anyone, it really can. So to have the one vote, one say thing that needs to stay. The rest of it, I think people need to remember where they come from, who they are, and as I said, just remember where they come from and need to be a little bit more realistic with their mindset and with their hopes for and dreams going forwards.
So what we're saying is Man City need to get back in their box.
Basically, yeah.
Get back in your box, Steve.
Get back in your box.
Get back to signing Benjani.
Yeah, hey, Ben Jones was balling, mate. All right, okay. The football reform is available on my personal Twitter. It's available on the Two Up Top page, and I did share a link for it on the Twitter, the Two Up Top Twitter page as well. But it was something that, as I said, it's something that I've been writing and looking at for a while, and then Rick Parry and the Telegraph decided to say it, and yeah, plagiarism case is coming towards you, the Telegraph, and with that money, we will pay for a studio. And do you know what? Do you know what? Actually, let's be nice to the Telegraph. We don't want any money, but we will host our podcast via the Telegraph. I think that's fair. Is that fair? We'll still remain independent. We'll still be Two Up Top, but we will do this. We'll do this on behalf of them. Jamie says, I say this a lot, but there are too many professional clubs in England. In fact, Jamie, I think I remember this conversation, actually. I really do. Is there any country in the world that sustains 100 plus professional teams? And before we move on, there isn't one. There isn't one. We've got 92 professional teams that play professional football, but there are a number of professional teams that are currently playing in the Conference National, or the National League, as you want to call it now. So, yeah, we have got in excess of 100 professional clubs in such a small country. Right. We haven't got the greatest amount of time, so we will talk about Man United very quickly before we talk about another point. Are Man United still regarded as a big club?
No.
That question wasn't posed by me. That question was posed by a certain Tottenham fan that you can see in the top right if you're watching this right now.
No.
Man United are a giant club. Man United are a brand. Man United are the biggest club in world football.
No.
They are. If they're not the biggest club in world football, they are
the second behind.
The second, yeah.
Okay, so
this is just coming from a Spurs fan who's still on cloud nine because his team managed to actually win at Old Trafford for a change.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
I come at it from a different angle, you know. I come at it from a different angle.
All right, then, mate. Right. Go on, then.
Are Man United a big brand? 100% yes.
Okay.
Big brand? Yes.
Okay.
When I say club, and I'm talking about the team,
Alex, listen, by the way, mate.
I look at mentality.
I feel like there's a lot of provisions being put into
it's right, mate.
Mentality.
I'm with you.
If Man United was a big club
right now, I'm leaning my ear in right now. That's what I'm doing.
Okay, so Man United do not behave like a big club anymore. They haven't done since Ferguson left. Okay, Ed Woodward, who took over in 2013.
This is Manchester United that have won more trophies than Tottenham have in the same time period since.
Man United have only won 3 trophies in 7 years, which for Man United is nowhere near enough.
How many have Tottenham won in that time?
This is a show about Manchester United.
How many have Arsenal?
We haven't won anything at that point, but that's not part of this debate here. So, Man United have won 3 trophies in that time. Yeah, fine. But it's not Man United, and that's not big team or big club mentality or territory. You start to look at the brands that they were under Sir Alex Ferguson, and they were on par with your Barcelonas, your Real Madrids. They were up there with your Bayern Munichs. They were a big club.
Let me ask you a question, Bucky, before you go any further. All right. So are you saying to me, before Liverpool won the Premier League this year, by your metric, they're not a big club?
I think Liverpool, up until recently, were certainly not a big club anymore. They were living off their history. They were living off their history.
My head is in my hand.
They were living off their history.
Alex, we can see you. We can see you. We know that.
Living off their history.
I'm now currently under the table.
This is for people at home listening just on the podcast on the audio version. My head is in my hands. I don't understand. Okay, I get that they may not be winning things anymore, but by every single metric, they are a big club. They're the most successful club in English football. They're always at the top of the table. They sell out crowds week in, week out. They have a global brand. They attract some of the world's biggest superstars that come and play for
they
their
do
team.
now.
Okay, they don't.
Who do now?
Liverpool do now.
I'm talking about Liverpool do. I'm talking about Man United do that.
Liverpool do.
Yeah, Liverpool do now. For the last 5 years under Klopp, they've attracted big sides. They've been competitive. They've grown. Their brand of football's improved. They're winning trophies again.
What about the most sought after striker in world football at the time, Luis Suarez? He was bought by Brendan Rodgers. Does that then make Leicester a big club? Are Leicester a bigger club because they've won more titles recently than Man United?
No, but mentality has to be differently. Big clubs like Liverpool are now, mentally, when they say, I need a centre-half, and the manager says, I want that centre-half because that's going to make me a winner, the price is almost irrelevant. They go out and they go, okay, that's the solution. Bang, there's the money. We want Van Dijk. And they buy him. Manchester United have the same mentality as those clubs that we're laughing at the minute, because they go, I want Jadon Sancho. Price is £100 million. Oh, well, I'm only going to spend £92 million.
That's nothing to do with the club. It's the people that are,
the way it's run,
hanging about with the money.
But that comes as part of that club mentality. That would never ever have happened under David Gill.
Manasseh, who's watching over in Uganda, is my boy there right now. What's good? I think Man United do not behave like a big club now. Maybe if you took the best Chelsea reserves to, maybe if you took the best Chelsea deserves to be called that. No, I know he's a massive Chelsea fan, so go easy on him. It's not his fault.
He's right though. Man United do not behave like a big club anymore. They don't. They don't. They've had 5 managers in 7 years.
Why don't we talk about clubs like Real Madrid and Barcelona going through big managers after big managers after big managers? Yeah.
And I get that, and we can throw all that in the mist, but that we keep going back to, that would not happen if you are a big club with big mentality, with a key strategy that you actually stick to and know where you're going in direction. Barcelona, for all the changes of managers, don't change direction. They've got horrendous guy in charge at the minute financially. I think it's the president, who cannot seem to get any player that they want over the line, but seems to keep letting them all go out the door again. There's no wonder why Messi's losing his rag over there. But Man United cannot do it. They've gone after so many players. David Moyes, when he took charge, they had a chance to go for Thiago or Marouane Fellaini, and he went, "I'd rather have Fellaini, thanks. Cheers, thanks very much."
I don't think
Manchester United mentality.
I'm 100% certain that didn't happen. The fact that I'm guessing that for whatever reason Thiago wasn't able to be signed for whatever reason, and they went. Fellaini was a plan C. There is no way in hell even David Moyes would have gone, do you know what? I'd prefer Marouane Fellaini over Thiago.
Yeah, he was never going to be a top target. No.
Man United, huge brand, massive global brand. Not taking anything away from that. I'm not taking anything away from their history. I'm saying right now, in terms of mentality, they are not a big club.
Man United fans, what do you think? Either comment now or stick something on our Twitter and on our YouTube. I can't read into that. I'm sorry. I can't do it. It's just...
In fact, I'll go one more for you, Gav.
Oh, my God.
Man United right now are no different to what Liverpool were when they were banging on about how many titles they'd won, but they couldn't win a trophy. Man United are now Liverpool.
Tottenham fans need to get back in their box a little bit here.
Yeah, I know.
Arsenal fans didn't even get involved in that banter.
Manchester United are now what Liverpool were.
Whee! Jesus Christ! So you're just saying that because the other question was, do Tottenham have a real chance of winning the league this year?
No, no.
This is your question, bro.
No, listen. Whatever Harry Redknapp was on when he came on Sky Sports and said Spurs have got a real chance of winning the league this year. You know what? I'd love some of those peels because that's some good stuff. But there is no chance. No, I'm sorry. The front three, I kind of get the excitement behind it. On paper, theoretically, it's probably one of the top front threes that you could put out in the Premier League. The rest of that squad, I'm sorry, and I'm going to tell every Spurs fan the same thing. It ain't good enough to come anywhere close to winning the league. No. It's not.
So why is he saying that then? What's the situation?
Well, because you look on the face of it, Spurs is going forward. At the very least, they have a very strong front four. I think you can call it that. When you think of it on paper, you've got Son one side, Gareth Bale the other side, Harry Kane, and then what you've got. You could have Bergwijn, Dele Alli, whoever in behind Harry Kane, right? So you think, yeah, actually, that's certainly probably stronger than Arsenal's. It's certainly on a par or better than Chelsea's. It's equal to Man United, and it's probably slightly less than Liverpool's, okay? Because I still think Liverpool have the best front three in the Prem, okay? I think Tottenham's issues are still goalkeeper and defence. I just don't think that you've done enough to address those issues. And as good as Spurs have been in the first few weeks of the season, as you get into it, injuries pile up, suspensions, etc. I think that it's just going to be just too exposed. I think when it comes to that.
I agree with the goalkeeper thing because Hugo Lloris, people will go on about it and turn around and say, it's won the World Cup. Yeah, Ollie Giroud won the World Cup. Now, I love Ollie G. Everyone knows that. But, is he all that?
No. I think he's better than the other options that are there.
Yes, but I would rather play him than play... what's his face? What's his name? Joe Hart.
Gazaniga.
Yeah. I'd rather do that, but
I do think they've recruited probably for the first time in a number of years quite sensibly this year. They needed a right back, so they've gone and got another right back. They needed to fix left back, and I think Reguilon is probably going to be the bigger impact of all the signings. So I like that. I like the fact they've now generally got two players in each position, where they never had that before. We've finally got a striker to play back up to Harry Kane. It's only taken them 25 years to work out that they needed one. But honestly, challenging? No, sorry, not a chance in hell. No way.
Just going back to the United thing, my pal Leon Govan's watching his show. Big gooner, good lad. I told people years ago United was sugar once Alex left. I actually said that as well because everyone used to take the mick out of Arsenal. So Wenger this, Wenger that. I was Wenger out from 2008, well documented. But I knew there would be a transition. I knew things would change. And I said this to Man United. I was like, when Ferguson leaves, I was like, you are now going to understand what it's like being an Arsenal fan. And, United have struggled since. Tottenham, on the other hand, I'm one of those weird gooners that I actually quite like Tottenham. I quite like the way you play. I quite like what you've done when you had Harry Redknapp. I liked the style of play that you had when you had Pochettino, but your running of the club is absolute dog.
Oh, shocking.
Until that changes, Mourinho ain't even going to be the right guy unless things change at board level. At board level, things change. Mourinho comes in, boss, there you go. There's your league title. There's your regular qualification for Champions League again, your free pass to the Champions League again. There's your FA Cup. You'll go out there and win stuff again.
And just to add, I'm just going to finish off my whole day. I've already compared Manchester United to being what Liverpool were of old. Spurs now are just what Arsenal were a few years back, but without all the trophies that came with it.
Oh,
we are literally looking at top
in our
four.
Shadow. You're still in.
No, I'm not saying shadow. I'm saying it's the same level of ambitions. We're just literally looking going. Top four is a trophy, and that is where the problem is.
Absolutely,
and that comes from the board.
It's like, oh yeah, we come higher than Arsenal. This is us. Arsenal like, yeah, great. You know, we won a trophy. When Arsenal players finish their career, they could turn back and say, yeah, we won this trophy, we won that trophy, we won that trophy. Tottenham players right now, apart from Harry Kane, have nothing to say.
And that in itself is a travesty. A player like Kane should have trophies at the end of his career. He's too good, way too good, to not have something in his locker at the end of his career. Way too good. I generally think if we don't win something this year, he's gone. He has to. Harry Kane. He has to go.
Well, it depends how long they actually got on his contract. Because
listen.
I mean,
as soon as he says,
I get what you mean. Players can like force their way out and everything, but even with that, Spurs aren't going to accept a reduced bid from somebody from somewhere, because they would be stupid to.
They might be stupid, but we both know that Levy is stupid and tight. He sees dollar signs, he sells. It's as simple as that. He did it with Bale, he did it with Modric, he'll do it again. 100% he will do it again, particularly when the club has allegedly got no money at the minute. So, and if Harry Kane says, I want to go and win trophies, I don't believe for 1 second Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, Man City, they will all find the money, because they will all take a player like Harry Kane. He will make them instantly better.
So yeah, Son, is he going to be out at the end of the season as well? Don't win a trophy.
I think he probably will, because he's quite quiet as a lad in terms of personality type. There, he's certainly not one that's going to push the boat out. But I rate him just as much as I rate Kane. I think he is absolutely brilliant. Could he go to any of those clubs and make them better? Yeah, he could. I don't think personality-wise he would fit in a club like Real Madrid. I think you need a lot far more ego about you to fit there. Could I see Son playing for Bayern Munich? Yes. Juventus? Yes. PSG? Yes. I can't
see Son playing for Bayern Munich.
You can't see him playing for Bayern?
No.
Because of his links previously in the Bundesliga?
Nope.
No? Okay, go
on. Sane one side, Gnabry the other, Lewandowski for the middle. He doesn't start. He doesn't start for Bayern Munich.
Oh.
I'm not being funny, right? Son is sick. We know this, all right? But he isn't world class. And the reason why he's not world class is because he performs in bursts. He will have a 2-3 month burst where he is incredible. And then the rest of the time is just, you know, he's not bit part, but he's not as full.
Is that not an issue with the way what the Premier League demands of players, though?
No, because you've got a world class player in Kane.
But I'd argue that instead of having 2 or 3 months where he's not doing it, he gets injured.
I would argue that Harry Kane is not world class. I would argue that Harry Kane's probably more generational, which is, I think, for me, is above world class. Because world class for me is not the best level of talent in football. Elite is the best.
So would you
generational? And then world class.
If you want to put it that way, then no, because I put world class as number one.
Yeah,
world class is number one.
No, because I think world class.
There's only 2 elite players, and that's Ronaldo and Messi. They're not allowed to be in the same division as anyone else. If you take Ronaldo and Messi out the equation, then you've got world class talent. Because you don't walk around going, oh yeah, generational talent to anything in anything, you know, in any situation, any world chat, not just football. You will say blah blah. It's world class. You know, world class is exactly what it says on the tin.
Yeah, now, lift that player out, put him into any club, and that club instantly go, you're starting, and they make him instantly better.
You know what I mean? Name me a club that Harry Kane right now does not start for. There you go. But I can name clubs that Son would not start for right now. So he's not world class. He is
Okay.
he's almost there. He's nearly there. But the fact you're silenced there to tell me that Harry Kane wouldn't be able to start for X club goes to show that he is world class. The only team, in fact, personally, the only team that he doesn't start for is Bayern Munich. And I know Alex,
Harry Kane starts at Bayern Munich.
You don't agree with me. I don't mind that. Football's all about
Yeah.
opinions and stuff. But at the end of the day, Harry Kane is second in the world right now as a number 9 behind Lewandowski. They are the best two. They are the best two number 9s in world football right now. There isn't anyone better in world football right now. Name me. Can either of you two name a striker, a number 9, a man through the middle who is better than those two?
I mean, probably not. I mean, I would say it would be interesting to see if he wasn't being played out left, where Aubameyang would come into that, because you can't knock his goal record. Okay, if we're judging on strikers on their goal record, Aubameyang is definitely up there.
We're looking at their work as a striker. Because we're talking that people that are watching the game, not just reading the paper and saying, "Oh yeah, Lewandowski scored 4."
We're watching the game. Aubameyang is an incredible player.
Well, he's not even the third. He's not even the second best striker in the Premier League right now.
Who's the second best striker in the Premier League?
Aguero, man. Why is people forgetting about Aguero?
Well, we're not forgetting about Aguero, but right now, at this very minute, Aguero, you can't say Aguero is the second best striker in the Premier League. He hasn't played yet this season.
Yeah, he's not played the end. Let's okay then. Okay, let's not split hairs. Right now, over the last 12 months, who's the best striker? And it's still Lewandowski. Because if you want to talk about right this second, then we've got to say Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but he's nowhere near. He's not even a fantastic player. He is having a purple patch, because before he scored a goal this season, he hadn't scored in 13 games. So we can't be involving him in that conversation. He's had a great start to the season.
It's great form. He's a great prospect. He's got the ability to improve.
Yeah.
Is he world class right now?
No. And
No.
if anyone tries to put Dominic Calvert-Lewin in a world class bracket, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you my address. I'll fight you. No, I'm only joking. Because I'm a bit of a pussy. I don't fight. But no, that's long and short of it. Tottenham, do they have a real chance of winning the league this season? Let's have another conversation in January.
We won't need one. Won't need one.
Might do. What if Liverpool lose 2 or 3 more games between then? And in those games, those weeks where Liverpool are dropping points, Everton are picking up points, Arsenal are picking up points, Man City are picking up points, Leicester are picking up points.
Look, we both know we could be top of the league in January, be 9 points clear, and still throw it away and finish third. So
very true.
Let's kind of add a bit of reality check to this one. At the minute, the biggest weakness in that club, other than the fact that the board is absolutely shocking, is mentality. And I get that's what Mourinho is trying to change, but it ain't going to change while you have the likes of Daniel Levy and his Levy Angels working with him. Until you change that club ain't going to change.
True. Yeah. No one has scored more goals. Someone has scored more than Aubameyang since he's arrived in the Prem. And, what a gregarious man is Aubameyang. He is fantastic. We know it. However, I would still put him third behind Aguero and Harry Kane in terms of striker, but that's a different story for a different time. I'll let you lot chat about that next week. But that's it. That's it, really, isn't it? I need to download a new version of my app, so that's the reason why you haven't been able to see my face. But who cares if you're listening to it on podcast, because we are in the top 100 podcasts in sports podcasts in the world. So, you probably don't know my faces, but you can download this via YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube, I should say. www.youtube.com/2UpTopFootball. You can subscribe to that, like, share, and subscribe, all that jazz and taz. You can follow us on all social media at 2UpTopFootball. On Gav Mac, that's Stephen Buck, and that's Alex Osborne. Boys, did you know if you put 2 Up Top into Google, our name comes up first?
I didn't.
No, I didn't know that.
How did I not know that?
Did you not know?
You should have mentioned it. You should have mentioned it before
honestly,
now.
No, honestly, if you put 2 Up Top into Google, our name comes up first. Thanks, everybody, and goodbye.